Yeah, I'm sending you our message now. Of course, reply back when you. When we're online. At this time, I'd like to start tonight's meeting. Please join us for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day and what you granted us. We thank you for the opportunity to take on the concerns of our city and our citizens. We ask you to guide us in the discussions and the decisions that we make, and please to those who call us to serve, and most importantly, be pleased to you. We ask you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Mayor will not be joining us tonight, so I use my exercise my pro tem terms to run the meeting. First on the agenda, minutes were presented to us on board pack for the meeting May 13th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kissling, second by Bounds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Apparently not. As we're also the minutes, we have the claims that were presented also to us. I'll take a, if you guys have any questions or comments prior to approving the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the claims.
Motion by Kissling,
I'll second that.
second by Bounds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. All right. First tonight we have on the agenda is the Three Boys County Community Foundation with Clayton Boyle.
Welcome, Clayton.
Hey, good to see you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Yeah. Clayton Boyles with the Du Bois County Community Foundation here tonight to talk about a project within community. But first, just want to say just high level why I'm here and what I represent. So philanthropy plays a powerful role in shaping vibrant, connected communities. Through the efforts of the Community Foundation, we're proud to partner with individuals, businesses, government agencies, nonprofits to create meaningful, lasting impact within our community. This often takes the form of help serving youth programs, social services, or even the enhancement of public places. Today, I come on behalf of the Community Foundation to present in front of the council to offer a gift to the city of Huntingburg in the form of two adjoining parcels of land located directly south of Market Street Park along 231. To provide some background, this effort began when a group of generous individuals contributed funds to the Community Foundation with the goal of purchasing the former Walden Chiropractic Building. The intent was to acquire and raise the building, then return the space to a level green parcel. That work's been completed and the land is now cleared, seeded, and ready for new use. With that, we're here today to formally offer this property as a gift to the city with the hope that it will be used to expand the footprint of Market Street Park. I've provided in front of you a handout showing the location of the parcels along with a before and after photo for your reference. So formally, I believe, on behalf of the foundation and really the donors who helped make this possible, I respectfully request the council's consideration and acceptance of this donation. Pretty straightforward. Some great pictures. I've heard comments throughout the community of, wow, the space looks great. You can see Market Street Park so much better when there's festivals there, which there was a Fourth Friday just recently. Even passerbyers kind of a wider visible footprint or snapshot of being able to see people there. So anyway, it's a beautiful area, as you all are aware and have been a part of for many years. The transformation of really Market Street and turning into a park, and now the expansion of it this way. So anyway,
I'd like to thank the donors to this project. I think it was much needed. And it is a big improvement for the park.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, as you say, when you drive past there, how much Market Street looks better.
Mhm.
So it's really nice. So we appreciate their donations.
Yeah, very generous. Huntingburg is blessed to have donors that appreciate the town and give back over and over and over to various projects. We're also very fortunate to have the DuBois County Community Foundation kind of spearhead these projects and get them organized, but and I think if I'm correct on this, I believe this was done without any public fund, any city funds to get us to where we're at with that property, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. All dollars were raised philanthropically from individuals or businesses. Nothing from a city standpoint. So the gifting would be simply that, a gift. The only string attached would be use it for Market Street Park. So yeah, free and clear, use it as you wish. And there's a few dollars left to be able to utilize for improvement of what that might look like. So anything future wise beyond that would be in your control and ability. So yeah, but to your point, no public dollars used. Sometimes it's good to use public dollars, sometimes it's good to use private dollars. It's a great philanthropic city partnership in this case.
So we need a motion to accept this.
Yeah, I think you have a resolution
Yes.
on your community pack, a resolution.
2025-14.
So I'll take a motion to,
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-14.
I'll second it.
motion by Kissling, second by Bounds, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that's what you can do.
That's all we need for tonight, then.
Yeah, you don't have to go through various readings, it's just a resolution. So you would sign as presiding officer there and pass it down to Tom.
Simple.
Thank you.
So we need to say,
All right.
Yeah, those all-
Yeah.
Will somebody be preparing the deed?
Yes. Yep, our council will.
Good.
Prepare the deed, work with Mayor Elkins to get
Great.
transferred in short order. So. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is Fire Chief Donnie Hunt. There you go. Hi, Donnie.
How are you guys doing today? I've been, several of the chiefs have been we've been working on projects, together, and, one of them is an automatic aid agreement. After running it past, Mayor Elkins and Phil said that this probably needs, because it's a, how'd you say it? Because it's related to the, payroll, because there would be, I'm not asking for more money, but it would increase what our runs, not by a lot, but it would increase. And so Phil said it probably ought to be run past and approved by the city council. So automatic aid would be with the city of Jasper. And what that entails is any active fire or smoke in the area. It's not for fire alarms. It is for an active fire that we would get paid at the exact same time that Jasper did, and we would respond with 1 apparatus and 4 firefighters. And they would reciprocate for us, okay? They, on average, 7 to 10 house fires a year. We historically are probably 2 or 3, but last year we were at 5. And we're not going to talk about this year, so at all, we're not going to mention it.
Did they send people over every time?
This year, or last year, they were requested, twice. One of ours was out of county or out of our town, out in the township, and I requested, different personnel, but they would respond to that as well. So this is different than, we have mutual aid agreement throughout the county. Mutual aid is a request that I can request at any time for apparatus or personnel. Automatic is, we don't have to wait for that, wait to get to the scene to figure out what we need. They would just show up, whether it be backup. We've gone over there this year. Kenny asked us they had a house fire on a Sunday. It was a tough house fire in tight location. All of their personnel was there and they needed just the backup. So we took an apparatus and three people and myself, and we stayed there until they were able to handle another response. And so it does a couple of things. The more experience that our firefighters get, one house fire a year isn't experience. But the more that we can get, the better firefighters that our department becomes. So we're looking to see to go forward. It's not all, we have an outline, we have some adjusting to do, some of what that would be. And Jasper's doing the same thing. They're kind of looking through it to make sure that we're all in agreement for that. But we would actually, anything that was damaged, it would be just like the mutual aid agreement. If we took an apparatus and it was damaged, we operate it. No, Jasper does not operate our equipment. But if it was damaged, it would be paid for by us. No different than if on a mutual aid run. And then our firefighters would be paid by us as well for those. And it's just 4.
So you're gonna respond with the engine, and then if they need more, you'll send out a second page for area possible.
Well, we would be sending 736, which is our smaller aerial, because that would give us a lot of flexibility on how we can help them.
Right.
It's smaller that we can get in and out of some of their tighter streets versus 38,
Right.
and save our engines for here, because for automatic aid for ISO, this does help this does help us in points for ISO. They want an engine, and both of our aerials are Quints, which are considered engines. So it gives us that aerial aspect and the engine, and we're going to throw a medical bag on there as well, so we can help out that way. However, we can help out each other. It gives us cross training with Jasper opportunities, which again helps us with ISO as well.
There's also an exit clause in the contract, at least the draft I saw, that if it's just not working out for us or for Jasper, that either party can terminate on, I think it's 60-day notice, and
Yeah.
I believe that's what it is.
Yeah, and if we're busy with a run, we can say we can't come. I mean, we're just because it's our community comes first for us, and just as theirs does for them as well. So if there's 2 different incidents going on, we would have to rely on those mutual aid agreements and call for people as well. It just won't happen as quickly.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I thought a few things, like additional experience, I think that's noteworthy, and then. I hadn't considered until you explained it, that if they've got something major going on and they've got their entire force at that site, and then something else happens, then there's no backup. So when
That's
you
right.
say support, it doesn't necessarily have to be support on that fire.
Yeah.
It might be just staying in town, staying. on
More
standby.
than likely, we would be at their scene, doing what's called RIT. RIT is a rapid intervention team, and that would allow, if something happens to one of their firefighters, ours are already dressed, ready to go get their firefighters. But if they have enough, they can do both, and we would be that backup for their community as well. But we would be taking the apparatus to their town.
Based on last year's results, has there been any kind of estimate as to what that additional cost to our department might be if we go to, say, 10 runs or 12 runs?
It's for 4 people, you're looking a little over, it'd be about $1,000, probably a little 1,500 would be closer
Per
estimate.
run?
Yeah, no.
For the year.
For the year,
Okay.
for the year. It's not an extreme cost.
No.
Because we get the firefighters, they get paid per run, and it's a little upward of, it'd be about $100 a run.
Past experience, we've had fire, when I was on the department, we'd have a fire and we'd have all of our personnel there. In the meantime, we get another call, maybe a medical, maybe whatever. Then they can handle that as well. So,
Sounds smart
But
to me.
out of our 5 house fires, we had 1, 2, actually, they were at 3 of ours, and we had mutual aid at 4. So this just speeds up the time frame of waiting to call it mutual aid. And that's why it helps our ISO as well. So we're just setting that, and they would be our partners for that. It doesn't cost us anything to have them over here for ours, it just costs us to send ours over.
How do you decide which four go? Like, is there four that are have priority?
No, it's pretty much the first four that arrive to grab the truck. We'll have an SOP for how that is, how that goes down. They'll report to station one, and when we have, I can't have four rookies, that's not gonna happen. So when I have at least one experience with three other personnel, that's how we would handle that. But there'll be an SOP for that once we get that, for a little bit closer.
The motion.
Well, I think at this point, yeah, I think Don is looking for your approval to proceed with negotiating this, the final terms of this. And I assume you'll bring it back when we've got.
I can,
Agreement.
I
Yeah.
can.
So would you make a motion to, for Donnie to approve to continue on
Yes,
negotiations? That'd be great.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you got the word now.
Thank you very much.
Next on the list is the energy superintendent, John Arruda.
Say it, I bet you can't spell.
I can't.
Or pronounced too. Start off with the gas department. Put in 4 new services this month. One of them was at Jago Homes. We got one lot left to be built on, and that subdivision will be complete. And we replaced 2 services on Geiger Street, just south of Third. Had some out of code fittings. Discovered that when we changed some meters out. And anytime you come across some out of code fittings, they've got to be replaced, documented. So we have to go ahead and do that. And then we got 6 services on file. We did change out 18 meters, which is a little less than normal, but we had a lot of other stuff going at the time, so. We only have 18.
How many you think you got left?
What?
How many meters you think you got left?
Probably 700.
I'm good.
It's gonna take a year or two.
All
Then they did pressure test and tie in a new section of pipe to about 160 feet on County Road 800. There's a section got washed out in the field where we have it running. So we had to go in and bore it in deeper. Got bored in last month, but then we went back. Field was too wet to get in. So we went back this month, pressure tested and got it all tied in, so that's all taken care of. And last month, they mainly spent time on these 2 blocks where we had to bore in new main, new services. Last month, USDI from Illinois, they come in, got everything bored in that we needed bored in. There's a couple services that we did, short services that we did go ahead, trenched in, dug in. We had to pressure test the mains, and then we had to pressure test all the services to the houses. It's all steel, it's pretty old residential homes in that area. Like I said, we converted it to plastic, so we got that all pressure tested, tied in, and we repaired some of the yards that we had to dig in. And the other one was behind Leland Lumber. That road's gonna be redone by the street department. Found out our steel main was only 10 inches deep. And the concrete, I think, is gonna be 10 inches, so.
You need sank.
Aye.
You need sank, right?
You said Leland. You said Leland.
Oh,
lumber
really?
company.
Yeah, well, thank you. Then, actually bored that whole block, and then we turned on 10th Street and headed toward this, where well, the scales are. We got that all tied in. We got the old steel main purged out, cut off. So we're all done in that block right there. Big one we had to switch over was Aristocrat, so we had to schedule an outage with them. Had to dig over to the building, replace that. Cut the old line off and put the new one in. So that took a little scheduling. But we got it all done. So, any questions on the gas?
So that's ready to be worked on, or is he? Jerry, or Jerry
I
got.
think Jerry's done.
No, we are done. We finished everything we had in there when we did the water main project back in 2019.
It's all ready for the street department to redo the road.
You're going there soon.
Yeah.
We need another street for
Any questions on the gas? Any other questions?
No.
Electric department. We put the new permanent transformer at their new airport terminal. Did a lot of terminating on the wires, set the transformer, got it all energized. Got that all done. There's 2 underground projects that were residential. One of them was in St. Henry that had to be done before the CK of A. Got it right this month. CK of A is gonna be tore down in a couple of weeks. We had to get that project done, so that line would have been in the way. So we're just about done with that. There's 6 trees we cut at first in Geiger. Homeowner, we talked to them, they said, go ahead and take them down, so we did. All the way to the ground. And then we did receive our first batch of electric meters, 1,120. We got about over 500 of them changed out so far. We should get another batch in another month or two's. Got a good start on it. And we did work on some storm damage. That storm came through the other Friday. And then you have a storm like that, there's usually some follow-up the week after. Limbs on lines, we had a couple secondary poles break. We kind of propped them up until the following week where we could get in there and change them out. We did have a circuit go down. In the alley, there was a tree that came over the lines, the main lines, so we had to get in there and repair that. It was like an hour-and-a-half outage for wires. But we got it back on, isolated it. I do have a quote for wooden poles. As you can see at the bottom. With Thomason Company, Coppers and Brown Lumber, which Thomason being the cheaper. The lowest bid, $34,130. And every year we send out our yearly pole contact in April. You can see at the bottom what that amount will be, so that helps offset the load of poles we got to buy. So I'd like approval to get them ordered.
Now, would you know off the top of your head, even a ballpark of, rather than wooden poles, if you were to begin replacing poles with steel, how much more of an investment would that be?
About 3 times more. We do have ductile iron poles in stock. We replace them where there's a critical pole that we kind of look it over. We determine it's a real critical pole. We'll put a ductile iron there. To replace every pole with a ductile would be too expensive. But you keep them on a critical main line, does work pretty good.
And then that whole contact revenue, is that some kind of number that's mandated by the state? Or does somebody regulate what?
We'll go by the consumer price index. Yearly. Around what, $11, $12, it kind of varies a little bit.
Yeah, depending on when it starts, there are different time periods, but it increases by whatever the consumer price index is.
Like 2,469 poles. Pole contacts that we receive money on. And we get that yearly.
Do powers that be think that that's a fair amount of money that a utility or that our utility gets paid for someone else using our infrastructure like that?
I don't think it is. That's what we gotta go by.
Yeah, I mean, I
Hancock, aren't you?
don't know if that has been looked at recently.
Yeah, we're just wondering if it should be looked at or if it's governed by some state mandate that you can't show more than blank to any one company per pole.
No, when we originated it, we were using the figure per pole that was customarily used throughout the state, essentially. And then we adjusted it annually for consumer price index increases. And the feeling was that would keep up with current costs. Now, if there ever becomes a dispute about what is a fair rate between Pole Connector and the city, they could petition the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission to mediate a fair price. But I don't know when we've looked at it last. We've just let the consumer
Has
price.
that price been staying with the cost of the increase in pole cost? That's the question, I guess.
Pole costs are going up, but
And what's the lifespan of these that you're looking to replace? 30, 50 years, maybe 75 years,
No,
you know, probably not.
these are, the poles are treated with DCOI, which is a new the pole treatment, where they did away with the,
So,
creosote,
you know, the creosote like. And the brochure said the 50-year limited warranty. So you take what the limited warranty.
Yeah.
Is
paper.
on the pole, doesn't rot, it's warranty.
how long will these poles last? Is this less than a year? Less than a year supply or a year supply?
Yeah.
Oh, we've been changing a lot of them out since 2017. We probably changed 600-700 poles out. You know, whenever we see the need, or we got an old leaning pole, we'll change it out. So it only makes your system stronger.
Yeah.
It probably last till next year.
Seems like we buy about 2 loads a year.
Yeah, this is 2 semi-loads.
Yeah, that's what it seems. That's if I recall, we buy about 2 semi loads a year.
Let's got a major storm coming and we'll go through a little more.
Would it be fair to, sometimes some parts of the economy prices inflate a lot faster than others. So you've got your general CPI which includes everything. But if poles, for example, have gone up 50% in the last 5 years and the general inflation rate's gone up 20%, then we probably need to be looking at that a little closer. I'm just curious, if there's a way to calculate what the cost of these poles. I mean, we probably have internal records, what we've been paying for them. That's not too hard of a number for you to come up with, just to look at what the per pole cost was in 2020 versus now 2025.
Probably double.
Then we ought to take a look at the way we price that. If that cost to maintain that infrastructure is going up dramatically faster than the general CPI, then we gotta have that conversation in an upcoming meeting.
We can do that.
Poles aren't a commodity, but I would have to think it follows the commodity wood product. To a point. Just my opinion.
Up and down,
Yeah.
based on.
And these poles come from southern states, so they're not imported or nothing.
Alabama.
Mississippi.
Poles are in Alabama.
Yes, Mississippi, Alabama. That's one good thing. What about tariffs on them?
Could you do that for us? And yeah, Terry, could you do that for us and maybe report back at a future meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just taking their figures, if we're receiving about $12 a connection.
Yeah.
So $12 a connection times 50 years, $600, and we're paying $320 a pole for the 30 poles. We're paying $580 for the 240 poles. And paying $706. So our pole rental connection is almost paying for the pole.
Yeah.
Over a 50-year period.
Most
I
of,
mean, that's kind of what these people are looking at when they contract with the city.
Yeah.
What rental should we pay to enable you to be able to replace these poles at the end of their life expectancy?
most of the connections are on the 40 and 45-foot poles. So,
So they're $700.
it's 700 and 584 for 40-foot. You got probably 3 companies on one pole, so you're getting 3 times that for just that one pole.
And we're using them also.
What's that?
And we're using them as well.
Yeah.
Serving our needs too.
Yeah.
So as long as, if you look back and see how many years would that annual fee have pay for a poll in 2020 versus how many years will that pay for a poll in 2025? When you could eventually, the cost of the polls could run away from the fee that we're charging. So I guess all I'm saying is that rather than wait until 10 years down the road and realize that all the cost of polls have gone up so much and now it's only paying for 30 years instead of 50. We ought to be adjusting before we get too far down the road.
But we would need the polls regardless.
Yes.
Of whether it was connected.
Right, and as Phil said, we use them too, so it's not like it's something we're putting in just for other companies, it's true.
I get that, but if you use that logic exclusively, then we don't need to charge them any. I'm just saying that we're charged a fair price based on the cost of a poll in 2020. We should be charging somewhere close to the same amount in 2025 as a percentage of the poll cost. But we won't know that unless you give us some numbers. If you can come up with those numbers, I think that we could have that conversation in a future meeting and decide if we leave it alone or if we make any adjustments.
Do that.
Thank you.
So I,
Make a motion for approval.
right.
Thompson, son,
Right.
for the amount of $34,130.
I'll second. We did. Jane.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do it, I'll do it for you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carries.
Any other questions on the electric? All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Next up is the H2O Superintendent Jerry Austin.
Good afternoon.
Oh, Jerry.
We'll jump into distribution here. We installed 2 new services this month out of Jago that rounds out our new service installations out there. All the services are installed. We did this past month. Following our flushing from the previous month, we had just a few small repairs, whether it be gaskets on the caps on the fire hydrants, broken valve box tops, things like that we found while we were out there. We went out and took care of all those small repairs. We did install a new fire hydrant at 2nd Street in Walnut. That's kind of tied into our Walnut Street water main replacement. The fire hydrant that was there was on the old water main, so it was gonna have to be removed regardless. We did install this fire hydrant on the other side of the intersection, which allowed us to run our temporary water main up Walnut Street when we got to that point, so we were able to provide service, uninterrupted service to those residents without having a boil order. So like I said, it was done as a step towards that Walnut Street water main replacement. Then we did work on our lead and copper survey this month, and we'll continue to do so until we have that inventory complete. Last year, whenever we kind of quit on that for the winter, we still had roughly 300 to go. So we're going to continue to work on that as time allows. And then we did have another old water service that was found by a contractor at 7th and Clay Street that we didn't know about. So like with most of those, we talked to the homeowner there. They had purchased the property, that adjourned their property. They had no use for the water service, so we removed it from the water main to prevent further issues with that service line being dug up. We did help the street department out on hydro excavating utilities on West 4th Street to keep their project moving along with the curbing and the street paving up there. And then we did get our temporary water main service installed. We got our service lines installed. We've actually with all that, the new water main is installed. Bacteria tests have been passed. The guys actually today we just started tying in the services to the new main that is in the ground today. We got 4 out of the 17 done today. Those are very time consuming when we put those in. We reconstruct the whole meter pit, so it is all new to the customer side. So we have to tie back onto that customer side, and there's really never been a standard in the city. Most cities don't have a standard for that. It is left up to the customer to what material and what sizing they use on their meters. So one might be 3/4 inch copper, the next one's 1 inch copper, the next one's plastic. So we, it's a timely process to get all those fittings together and get them hooked up. We, and then we did repair a failed service at 1907 West Windsor Court. We did find there it was copper. Whenever that was installed, we dug that up. We did not find any sand around that copper service line. And from what it looked like to us, a rock had rubbed a hole in that service. We found that service by, it was actually a neighboring property called in and said they had a wet spot in their yard for a couple weeks. When we went to investigate, we immediately went to their house thinking it was their service line. Upon further investigation of pulling meter lids and using our leak detection equipment that we have, we found that it was actually 2 houses away from that property. So, we do ask anytime anybody finds anything like that around their yard where it's a common wet problem. Sinkholes around water meter pits are another good one. We did find one in Jago out here at Hunter's Crossing. They had a sinkhole around their meter pit for quite some time. They thought it was just a hole from the yard being put in. And 6 months later, they finally contacted us. We went out and it was a service line leaking. We were able to get that repaired. So I know a lot of people thinks that it's a nuisance to call the city and report these kind of things, but with our new metering system, we're not out there monthly opening meter lids. We do make our rounds, but we have 5 distribution employees that takes care of 3,600 customers, plus everything else that pertains to the water system. Other than that, moving on to the filter plant, we did have a tank float valve on our water softening system that feeds soft water to our Myox machines that generates our sodium hypochlorite, which is what we use for disinfectant. We don't use a chlorine gas. We self-generate our own. It's a lot cheaper to generate. It's a lot safer. It's not a poisonous inhalation hazard like the gas is. So very vital to our operation out there. And then we were having some hiccups with our SCADA system, communicating with our water towers and some of our other things. We did come back to find that whenever we went out to troubleshoot these issues, they wasn't showing as the known issue. But working through it, we had a couple battery backups in our system that were 10+ years old. They were still showing that they were operating properly when you tested the unit itself. But once put under a load, we found that they were bad. So we've been kind of going through and updating those and looking at putting those on kind of a preventative maintenance schedule as far as replacing those. The company that we get them from say that they're usually about a 5-year lifespan on them, like most electronics anymore. Other than that, our metering system, we've got 3 more shipments of large diameter meters coming in. We have a total of close to 20 large diameter meters to still put in before our system's complete. So we did kind of pull off that to be all hands on deck with the water main installation on Walnut Street. I know Rudolph is chomping a bit to get up there. They've been on us every step of the way trying to find out when we're going to be done. So we will get back on that. And those, like I said in the past, do take time. We have to make appointments with customers for water outages. A lot of places aren't legally allowed to have employees in the buildings if the water is going to be off for long periods of time. So we'll work weekends and evenings on those as need be to get those done. The only other thing that I have, just information, I have hired 2 high school kids for part-time summer help with our not only for our preventative maintenance for our fire hydrant program that we have, but our ISO audit is coming up this year as well. Our paint on our fire hydrants is very crucial to that ISO audit, as well as to our fire department. It's how they identify how many gallons per minute that fire hydrant puts out. That lets them know how many gallons a minute they can pull off that fire hydrant safely before they damage our system. So very crucial. It's something that we try to keep up on through the years with the city continuously growing and the numerous infrastructure improvements that are needed. We sometimes fall short of being able to keep up on those small things. So we've got about 385 fire hydrants in our town. In the past, for our preventative maintenance was going out there, knocking off what loose paint we could, slapping a new coat of paint on them and hoping it sticks for a while. We have kind of regrouped on that. They are taking these fire hydrants completely down to bare metal and bringing them back up with one coat of paint. There's some fire hydrants out there that we found that have about a 1/2 inch coat of paint on them due to all the paint over the years. So we feel that this is best in order to get that paint to stick and last. So if you see them, John's been gracious enough to allow us to use the Ford Ranger that the meter reader used to use daily. They now only use it 3 times a month. We lack on vehicles for all employees to be able to provide them with another vehicle. So we'll be using the meter reader truck. So they are outfitted in high-vis class 3 with city logos. But if you guys see them out and about, that's what they are doing.
Is it expected they'll be able to finish 385 in one summer?
We're hoping.
Back in the,
Our glass is half full. So,
back in the seventies, during the flower power age, the city painted those hydrants all kind of pastel colors.
Right.
4th of July.
Yeah.
yeah,
Flags and flowers and everything else.
Yeah.
Kind of got away from the coding.
Yes.
Color
Right.
coding.
I think that was popular.
See the
Yeah.
pictures you submitted in here. I
Oh, yeah.
Sent these to
Yeah.
the city of Huntingburg residents, they can see what they.
So those pictures, I just shared those for you guys kind of to get a visual of that water main on Walnut Street. That is why that main was replaced. As we dug that main out, we've been trying to replace our water mains where the old water main laid. There is so much infrastructure in the ground. You don't need to kill a pipe and bury another one right next to it. It gets pretty congested. So we've kind of decided we're going to go back within the same vicinity of what was there. Kind of helps us with tying water mains in. That way our water main's straight down a block and it doesn't have constant 45s in it. It helps people in the future to locate those water mains. In that water main, we did dig up 2 repair clamps. One of those repair clamps was what we call a CC. It has a tap in it, and it was actually put in place for a service. What it looked like, that service was copper. It was the only copper service on that block. The rest of them were lead. So we can only assume that that was excavated around at one point. It was found it was lead. The city's always been very good at removing the lead right away. So anytime there's a lead service line, that corporation stop was produced when lead was allowed. So we replaced the corporation stop as well. So we install those CCs in order to do that. So that main was what was it, 1824, I believe is what the date was stamped on that cast iron. Those few pictures there that I shared is the reason why we replaced that water main due to the congestion. That goes back to the city is I know, Glenn, you've been on this board for quite some time. The city used to not have a hydrant flushing policy. We used to not flush hydrants at all. I would say last probably 10 years, the city's had a good policy in place. We flush twice a year to help prevent this issue here. That 6-inch water main probably throughout, I just shared 3 pictures there, 3 different pieces, probably had roughly a 3-inch inside diameter flowing water through that. So in any time that we find that, we're able to replace those mains to help our system. That fire hydrant off that water main previously was an orange top. That's anything that flows under 1,000 gallons a minute. So with actually just removing that water main to the other side of the intersection, we floated after we installed it, and it was already up to 1,100 gallon a minute. So within 20 feet of setting a new fire hydrant, that water main was already flowing more water. Now, you know, if we would have set it back in the same place on this new water main, it would have flowed those higher numbers as well. So just sometimes it makes you wonder why we're replacing water main that's not blowing out of the ground all the time, and this is why. We follow our numbers with our yearly hydrant flushing where we take our reads and that helps us pinpoint our choked up areas in order to do this. So very vital to our system. I actually, to be honest, I didn't print those pictures trying to save ink and paper and I forgot I sent them to you.
That's okay.
So I appreciate you, you reminded me of that.
Very informative. That's why I
Was I
said
not want the public to know?
Well, the pictures are pretty, they're, a lot of people will think they're gruesome. Really, that's mineral deposits. Every water main in every town, everywhere, it looks like that. The new C900 plastic water main that we do install, and actually the old, transite water main, which is asbestos concrete, that will be the next thing that we'll be having to remove. Those pipes are, very slick on the inside. They're not porous. Surprisingly, even the concrete, due to the water that flows through that pipe, it's a very slick lining. So you don't have the tuberculation, the built up material of minerals on that pipe that hold to the porous cast and ductile iron. So it does, you can Google the inside of a water main and it'll show you those same pictures. But yeah, that's like I said, I just try to show you guys the reason why we do replace some mains that you're not physically seeing issues with.
very informative.
Jerry, how bad does a leak have to be before our internal systems, like the meters that I remember we're replacing, that was supposed to be one of the benefits of having those meters, that it would kind of flash a warning to people that there's a lot more water being used at this meter than before. Are we
Okay,
still?
yeah, yep, we're still doing that. And that, they're an electronic meter. We hope to think they work great. We've came up to some things where, our billing office will catch one that has high water usage that month and we'll go back through and there won't be an alarm at all. But normally what they say is any abnormal water usage, it is a smart meter. It's supposed to learn the way you use water. So if you use water at set points of the time during the day, and then all of a sudden it's using water at different points of the day, it will throw out an alarm for high water usage. Anytime there is a constant water flow of more than 4 hours at a time, it'll throw out a high water usage. We did have a woman that lives close to the water treatment plant on the highway. We had an alarm for her. We went out and talked to her and she just had some family that came into town. They'd been there for 3 days. From Florida, actually. Her husband worked for a water system in Florida. We stood there and talked quite a bit about the water metering system, and it's kind of nice to hear a different perspective on, they're treating salt water down there. But we still do that daily. Blake Lindauer, our meter tech, he sits down every morning. Some days he's there for 10 minutes, running through the system, writing outdoor tags. There's some days he's there for 45 minutes, and then we're hanging door tags. It's something that the city offers. It's convenience. It's something that we decided that we would do to help the community. That way they're not catching that high bill at the end of the month. We can try to help them throughout the month to stop that high bill. But like I said, it is a computer program. They do miss sometimes. Sometimes they're not caught till the end of the month, and we can look back through the system to see if there are alarms and flags. Sometimes there's not any at all, and then we have to discuss on how well these electric meters are really reading our water system. So that's, with that, we do go out every year. We'll pull certain water meters throughout our system. We'll take a certified meter, we'll flow water through both and make sure they are still flowing water correctly, that they are calibrated accurately. A lot of our larger diameter water meters, we aren't able to do in-house just due to the equipment that's needed to do it and the cost of it. So, our big users like Farbest, we do have a company come in every year and an outside company to calibrate those as well to make sure they're still accurate and flowing. A lot of the large water users also, Debbie with the billing office, she'll print me out water usage every month. And I've got a file for each one of our businesses that are large water usages. And not only are they tracking it, but I track it as well. And if we ever see a decrease in water usage, there's a facility here that washes trucks. We've seen a big decrease in their water usage. Well, they're having the same problem that most companies are. They can't find the employees to wash semis anymore. So they've really kept back on washing semis. That even with the high water usage, we check our low water usage as well with that. We go out, we physically talk to the customers and then we monitor it. Debbie puts, and the other girls, they put alerts on the systems to monitor for low water usage, just like we do high water usage, to make sure we are billing accurately.
Any updates on your plan?
We're getting close to getting that put out to bid. You guys approved all that, so just working through all the final details to get that going. Still, as far as timelines, on track. We're hopeful to keep that timeline so we can start that process at our low demand out at the water filtration plant. And that it's back up and running during our high demand. All right, thank you guys.
City Attorney Phil Snyder.
I have nothing.
Clerk Treasurer Tom Dipple.
Yeah, we've got budget for 2026 coming up. Put a calendar together here. Up there, we'll need to decide on probably the meetings in August. But that doesn't, we don't need that right away, but I do have to input some other information as far as the budget hearing and the adoption meeting. Right now, the budget hearing would be October the 14th. And then the adoption meeting would be October 28th. Just want to make sure these are okay.
When we get everybody here, we need to schedule our budget meetings in August.
But if those two dates are okay, you could give me approval on those two. That'd be great.
October 14th and 28th. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, yes, we give them approval.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No opposed. Good.
With federal funds. We've been doing these things, but the federal government would like an allowable cost policy that the city has. Basically, these things would be that the costs would be necessary, reasonable, allocable, compliant with the grant, the federal grant we had. That we use them, that we can account for them consistently. We have the proper documentation, and we're not double dipping, charging two grants with the same amount of money. So this policy, I would just need your approval to put in the file, and these are the things that we're already doing. We just need a policy that you have approved to show them that you agree.
So I make a motion to approve Tom's request for allowing cost policy for the city of Huntingburg.
I'll make the motion.
Pounds.
Is that it?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Oh, yeah.
I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, and then you've got a copy of the redevelopments. Actually 7 resolutions that I have to give you. That they have determined that there is no excess assessed value in any of the TIF districts. We have 7 of them that could be allocated to other taxing units for the budget year of 2026. You don't need to do anything. I just need to present them to you, and they're finding that there is no assessed value, and that the potential captured assessment the increase will be captured, and the overlapping taxing units will be notified by sending certified mail of the same the same thing that you got here.
What is like excess assessed valuation?
Well, each tip has a base, and then the real estate increases in value based on whatever the owner does, and that part is captured. And that part is what stays within the tip to be used either within or servicing the tips. And then the base part still continues to come to the city. The captured part doesn't come to the city until it's completely
Stays in the tip.
And so these resolutions are saying that all that captured increment is necessary to service outstanding bonds or for scheduled improvements that are in or benefit various TIF districts. There's no available allocable TIF revenues to turn back to the other taxing units.
Okay, and that's all I just need to give that to you. But if you would assign the policy in your name. And we also just started yesterday. Take word of accounts audit for 23 and 24. Yeah.
No, you had not.
That's all I have.
And other items, I want to make a comment about, we had our first of the 4 Fridays on Market Street Park this past Friday. It was a great turnout, I believe. It's a very nice day for it. I'm looking forward for the next one. The next one will be on June 27th. Let's hope for good weather and a good turnout for that also. So if you got nothing to do, those nice, stop on by. Any other items from the council?
I have a question, Tom. Jerry mentioned about the leaks and door tags. Do we have capabilities in our computer to send out emails to, I know you have to have the email address. But let's say you get a notice. Because not everybody,
I don't know. We automatically send out emails.
because not everybody's gonna check their door.
Right.
They may put it,
You get that sometimes.
they may put it on the front door and not every door. is on the front door.
Yep.
So
I'll check.
it's possible that we get a phone call in or,
It would have to go through BSNA. There's nothing there with census themselves.
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
I think I don't know.
Tracking down that information though is gonna be hard too.
Yeah, I understand. You have to volunteer their phone number and or email address.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Yeah. Update, can you, Tom, I know you're in the financial part of this, about the First Street improvement. Can you update us, Mayor, not here, give us the update on those things? No?
I know.
Okay.
I mean, I could if I knew.
I don't know.
So we do not know. It's
The last I heard, he said that they were still engineering it. I don't know how long that's gonna take, but I hope not long. I've had several residents ask me about it. It needs to be improved. Yeah. Just hoping.
Get some more information.
I saw a crew walking First Street this afternoon at noon, looking like they were evaluating, they look like engineers. Whatever, I don't know, contractors. So maybe they were gathering information as to cost. But what was bid was just to replace the trench. Right, there's been so much damage done, particularly in the concrete,
Yeah.
that they would like to use the excess grant funds that are left over to replace the entire concrete surface.
Are they planning to replace it with concrete?
Yes.
That's a portion of it for sure, the portion that's concrete now because of the sub base.
Anything from the citizens items? Please state your name.
Pam Bolte,
No, you're not.
Janet Schnell.
Nice.
Yes, Jerry you guys did a fantastic job on our street, replacing the gas, the repair of our land. They did an excellent job. If you guys ever want to look and just see what good quality is, they did a great job, and meeting with people and saying, this is what we're doing. So definitely appreciate that from the city. I had a question about the hoarding ordinance. If I can get a copy of the letter that was sent out. And primarily because the progress that we have seen has been, there are no leaves in the yard. I don't think that was part of the hoarding ordinance. There is a narrow passageway to the front door that cannot be opened. There's rocks that are being put down, but the tiles have not been addressed. And what we've been seeing is that some things are leaving one place and another truckload is coming back to replace what was taken away. So it would be easier for us to be able to monitor to see what's going on. And just to see, even what's the deadline.
It'd be a Paul thing, right?
Would that be, be able to submit a letter to Tom again? If you need a letter for you for information,
Was that information
or is that public?
private?
Well, I would do, if there's a document, they can request it.
Yeah, if there's an existing document, it's, can be requested.
So you're saying if it's a public letter that we all can see, I just send you an email and just say, can I see the letter?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can either come in and look at it, or you can make you a copy and charge you 10 cents.
That's pretty cheap. May have to look back at that on that policy too. That'll work. So
All right.
that was my question.
Yeah. Any other things you want to say? Gordon? All right.
No, it really, the gas department really did do a really good job. I was quite impressed with what they had talked about with boring and replacing even where the grass had died, where they had to tear it all up. They did a really good job.
They do your work.
So it was nice.
Thank
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn, if nothing else.
Motion by Kiesling.
Oh, second.
Second by Mouse. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes, good, that's you.
All right, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Yes.
No, service line. That was. Well, in the back shop.
We got to schedule that.
Yeah, we're in some stuff.